Hey there, crochet friends! I'm Mo, your crochet companion, and today we're diving into the ultimate stitch upgrade, linked half double, treble, and even the double treble crochet. If you've ever wished for tall stitches without floppy gaps, today's your lucky day. What did the yarn say to the crochet hook? Stop pulling me along, I'm already linked. All right, so at this point, I want you to go ahead and pause the video if you haven't learned how to do the linked single crochet or the linked double crochet. I do have a video that I've already published. So you'll want to watch the part 1 first, mastering the linked single crochet, double crochet. All right, once you're ready, come on back. If you have already watched it, let's do this. If you are here, you already know that the link stitch eliminate gaps and create a structured fabric. Today we're taking that technique to the next level with the taller link stitches. As you can see, these are the link stitches create a seamless tight fabric while keeping their shape. So this is the regular half double crochet, and then these are the linked half double crochets. So I did 2 of each. One I did the regular chain foundation row, and then one that I did the half double foundation row. So there's that one, and then I did the treble crochet link stitch and then a regular treble. As you can see, this is pretty airy. And just a note though, if you're wanting your fabric to be more lacy, go with the traditional, because the traditional is going to be the one that gives you that airy feel, but it's pretty gappy. If you want something that's a little bit closer together, then go with the linked stitch. And then one more thing, we've got the double treble. And as you can see, this is the traditional. Look at how much of a gap there is. But again, if your project needs to have more of an airy, lacy type feel, then stick with your traditional double treble. If you're wanting to not have that gap in between and you're just trying to cover some ground, then I would go with the linked one. Okay, so we have 2 options that we can actually start. We have the chain foundation. This works, but it can be fiddly and uneven. And then you have the foundation HDC, the foundation treble crochet, and then the double treble foundation, which are more flexible options that are easier to work with when you do foundation rows. Now, I personally, as I found that I got to the larger stitches, it really didn't work that well to do the foundation for the treble and for the double treble. And the reason why is because if you look here, this is actually the foundation row that I did. This is not the chain foundation. I did this as a treble foundation row. And as you can see, it still gives you that airy look. Whereas this, it looks more like a tenation row. If you are familiar with tenation, this is basically what a tenation looks more like. So you can do it, but it's gonna look a little bit different if you do it. So that's why I'm not going to demonstrate the foundation row for the treble and for the double treble, just for the half double. Okay, let's get started with the half double. So the half double, if you have already watched my double crochet link stitch, then you know that this is going to be very similar to the double crochet. So the double crochet, we chained 12 to get to the amount of 10 stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the reason why we are going to do 12 for the half double is because we start the half double in the exact same way we would do the double. Okay, so we don't need to do a yarn over as in traditional half double crochet. So we are going to insert our hook into the, actually let me go a little bit closer. I didn't realize I was so far away. Okay, so we're going to do, we're going to insert our hook into that second chain from the hook. Going to scoop our yarn up, pull it up, and then we're going to do the same thing in the second stitch as well. So we're going to insert our hook, scoop that up, and now we have 3 strands on our hook. Now, the difference between the double and the half double is that we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all loops. Now, the other difference between the double and the half double is that you see how we've got basically three vertical bars with the half double, whereas the double crochet we only had 1 vertical bar. So with the half double, we're actually going to go into the middle bar. So you're going to insert your hook into that middle bar and scoop up your yarn. And then you're going to go into the next chain, insert your hook, scoop up your yarn. So now you have 3 strands of yarn on your hook. So you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And you continue doing that all the way to the end. So the middle bar, we're going to go into that middle vertical bar, scoop up a loop. Now we're going to go into the next chain, scoop up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. So we continue doing that until we get to the end of the row. And the next chain, and scoop through all 3. Middle bar. Next chain. Scoop through all those loops. Middle bar. I don't know why it sounded like I was saying medical bar. Maybe I was in the medical field for too long. Anyway. Middle bar. Next chain, scoop it up. Middle bar, scoop it up. Next chain, swoosh through all 3. There you go. That is what is the fiddly. It's actually not as fiddly as I would have thought, but that is the chain foundation for the linked half double. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, and we're going to do the half double crochet foundation row. Okay, here we go. Well, maybe. All right, so if you haven't already done the foundation row, I would go ahead and stop and visit the video that I did the half double foundation row and the treble foundation row and the double treble foundation row, and revisit that because I'm not going to take a whole lot of time to show you how to do this. I'm just going to do it. So we're going to do 10 half double foundation row stitches. And we're doing 10 instead of, how many did we do? We did 12 chains, right? And because we want to subtract those 2 chains that we don't necessarily need. This is kind of the same way with the foundation row. Whenever you're crocheting the foundation row, you always subtract the chains that the pattern would call for and go with the count on what the first row would be. That's how I know, is just go with the count on the first row. So most of your patterns will write the count on the end of the first row, so you know how many stitches you should have. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8. 9 and 10. I wish you guys could see this. I've got a dog at my feet right now. She's so stinking cute. Not only was she in heat for the last 8, 9 days. We're close to the tail end of her heat cycle, so she's like super clingy. But for some reason, when I'm at my table, she seems to think that she's going to get some food. So she sits at my feet, even though I'm not the messy one. My husband is. He's the messy Marvin. So it makes sense for her to do that with him, but not necessarily with me. So, all right. So the second row we are going to do, we do need to do that chain of 2. That's very, very important. We have to have that chain. We can't do like a stacking stitch in order to bypass this. We have to have that chain of 2. So in that second chain from the hook, look at that. I was doing instinctual yarning over. So we don't yarn over. We just insert our hook into that second chain. We're going to scoop up some yarn. We're going to turn, insert our hook into that first chain. And let's look at that. That first chain. We're going to insert our hook into that. And then we're going to scoop through all 3. So that's our first half double crochet. Now let me get a little bit closer here so you guys can see it. So in the same way, in the same form that we did in our foundation row, you're actually going to find that middle vertical bar, insert your hook into that middle bar, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull that up, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through all 3. Find your middle vertical bar, insert your hook, pull up a loop, go to the next stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3 loops. You're going to keep going that all the way until you get to the end. I'm going to go a little bit faster, so I might make you dizzy. Sorry. I know sometimes I watch my videos back a lot so that I know that I did them appropriately, and I get dizzy watching myself. So I'm trying to go a little bit slower, but I also am mindful of how long the video is going to be, so I try not to be too lengthy. I want to get to the point, have a little fun, but not overdo it. Okay, so here's where it gets a little bit different. So I want to count these just to make sure that I have the correct count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There you go. We got 10. So then at this point you would do a chain of 2, turn, insert your hook into that second stitch, and then keep on going. So that is the half double. Whoop, wrong way. So that is the half double. Let's take a look at those again and compare. So this is the original. We got some gaps. We got some holes. You can see the holy grail back behind there. And then you've got the gap-free, or, well, less gaps. This one is the one, do I have it the wrong way? I think I do. Yeah. This is the one that I did the fiddly chain foundation row, and then this is the one that I did the actual, that way, the foundation, the HDC foundation row. All right, so that's the half double. As you can see from the difference, you can see the difference between the foundation row and the way I can tell the difference is that this seems like it's wider and doesn't seem as neat and tidy as the foundation row. But that's going to change once we get to the larger stitches. All right, 1 second. All right, onto the treble crochet linked stitch. We're going to go ahead and do our chain foundation. I'm not going to demonstrate the treble foundation. If you are curious and you want to know a little bit more about that, you can check out that video that I did, the treble crochet foundation row. For the link stitch, I don't recommend doing it, but you can if you really want to. All right, so we're going to do a chain of, I forgot how many we need to do. So this one I need to do 13 in order to get 10 stitches. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so now we're going to go to the second chain from the hook, insert our hook, pull up a loop. Now we got two strands on our hook. We're going to go to the next one, insert our hook, pull up a loop. So now we have 3. Now this would be the amount that we normally would do for the half double and the double, but we're doing a treble, so we need to go 1 more. So we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, and then we're going to do like as if we're just doing a treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so here comes the fun stuff. So now we're going to insert our hook into the very, well, I guess technically it's the second vertical bar. So this vertical bar right here, we're going to, let me go a little bit closer because you can't really see it. Okay, so we're going to skip this vertical bar, going to the second vertical bar, yarn over, pull up the loop. Then we're going to go into the third vertical bar, insert a hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. So now we have 4, or excuse me, I don't know how to count. 3 strands on our hook. Now we're going to go into the next chain, insert a hook, pull up a loop. So now we have 4 strands on our hook. Then we do like we were going to do a regular treble crochet. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we keep going like that. So now we're going to insert our hook into that second vertical bar, pull up a loop, third vertical bar, pull up a loop, and into the next chain, pull up a loop. Then do a regular treble. Okay. Now we're going to keep going so we can pull up the second vertical bar, insert into the third vertical bar, and into the next chain. And then we're going to do a treble crochet, like a normal treble crochet. Pardon me, got an itchy nose. All right, so now we're going to insert in that second, insert into the third, and into the next chain. Now we're going to do that treble. We're going to keep doing that until we get to the end of the row. All right, second vertical bar, third vertical bar, into the next chain, treble crochet. Now we got some curling. Now I don't know if any of you have ever done Tunisian, but if you notice, if you have, it kind of resembles Tunisian, only it just is a little bit different. All right, almost there. So second vertical bar, third vertical bar, into the next stitch. There we go. Couple more stitches. Looks like 2 more stitches left to go, and then I'll show you how to do the next round. It is very similar to the half double crochet, where we do have to work in those turning chains. You will not be able to do anything like a stacking stitch. And by the way, I do have a video on stacking stitch if you're curious. For some reason, I didn't submit it as a premiere, so I think nobody has seen it yet. So, all right, there we have it. The first row. It looks like 3, right? But it's I assure you, it's only 1. All right, so let's go ahead and do a chain of 3. So remember, the way I do it is a chain of 1 for single crochet, chain of 2 for half double and double, and then we're going to do a chain of 3 for the treble. Now we're going to go into that second stitch, insert our hook, pull up a loop, insert our hook in the next chain, pull up a loop, and then we're going to turn, insert our hook into the first stitch, pull up a loop. Now we've got 4 loops on our hook, and we're going to work it like a regular treble crochet. And then we just keep going. So we have the vertical bars, the second and the third, that we're going to pick up a loop. And then we're going to pick up a loop on that next stitch. And just keep on going until we get to the end. There we go. Just like in the chain foundation row there. All right, so let's take a look at that again. Our little samplers here. So this was the regular, and see how airy that is? And you see how much smoother this is, and there's no extra gaps, right? But if your project does need something that's, you know, more lacy and airy, you do need to go with the traditional. All right, one more stitch to go over, and that is the double treble linked crochet. Okay, so for the double treble, to do the chain foundation, what you're going to do now, let's think about this before we go and go crazy. So remember, for the single crochet, in order to get 10 stitches, you have to chain 11, and for the half double and the double, you're going to chain 12, and then for the treble, we chained 13. So with the double treble, you need to chain 14. All right, so we don't do the yarn over. We're going to insert our hook into that second stitch, pull up a loop. We're going to do the same thing for the third stitch, pull up a loop, fourth stitch, pull up a loop. So now we have 4 stitches. That is the equivalent of the treble. So now the double treble, we need 1 more loop. There we go. So now we have 5 loops on our hook, okay? Let's go a little bit closer so you can see all the magic happening. Okay, so now we're going to just do a double treble as usual. All right, now let's look at this before we go too far. With the treble crochet, we had 2 vertical bars that we had to catch before we went to the next chain. This one, we're going to do 3 vertical bars before we catch the next chain. So let's go ahead and do that. So the second one, we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop. Third one, pull up a loop. Fourth one, pull up that loop. So now we have 4 chains on our hook. Now, to get that 5th chain, we're going to go into that next chain. There we go. Now we got another loop on our hook. So now we're going to just do the double treble as usual. And as you are starting to see with this one, you're starting to see more of that. I mean, the bigger and the taller the stitch, it's starting to look more like a Tunisian crochet. So I would say, if you are going to do more, if you are wanting a taller stitch than the double treble, I would just go ahead and do a Tunisian, because that's basically essentially what this is, only done in a slightly different way. Although Tunisian does require a little bit different, slightly different way you would do it. So, and you usually have more strands on your hook. But I want you guys to remember this for future projects, because this is actually common to do in freeform crochet, where you add some Tunisian stitches in random places in random ways. So I guess technically I've been doing the link stitch forever, and I just didn't realize that that's what it was called. I actually really like this. You should see it's curling up just like a Tunisian would. All right, so I'm going to get through this row here, and we're going to turn our work, and I'm going to show you how to do the next row, or to start your next row anyway. Almost there. Looks like we got 2 more stitches here. And Tunisian does take a little bit longer because you are doing your stitches closer together. All right, almost there. There we go. All right, so now we're going to turn our work. Now remember, with single crochet, it's 1 chain, half double and double, it's 2 chains, treble, it's 3 chains. So the double treble stands to reason. We're going to do 4 chains. And we insert our hook into the 2nd chain from the hook, pull up a loop, into the 3rd chain, pull up a loop, into the 4th chain, pull up a loop, and then we're going to turn and insert our hook into the 1st stitch, pull up a loop, and then do our double treble as usual. Every time I say double treble, I'm thinking that somebody's in trouble. I know, silly. Okay, so now remember, we're going to be going into all 3 of those vertical bars to do our double treble, just like we did in our first row. That was curling, so I'm folding it back. That is one thing that I would have to say that I like better about the link stitch versus Tunisian, because by going back and forth like this, it doesn't curl. Like Tunisian curls. You see it's curling? Once we get done with this row, it will cease to curl. All right, so let's just keep going. I'll show you what it looks like once we're done with the 2nd row, and you'll see for yourself how it's not curling. And I would have to say, I did a quick excerpt on how to count the stitches in the first video, and I'm just going to touch on it. And I would say the half double, the treble, and the double treble, it's so much easier to count your stitches, to find the row. Not necessarily count your stitches, but count your rows. It's easier to figure out where your row ends and row begins, unlike the single crochet and the double crochet linked stitches. That's a little bit harder to count the row. All right, almost there. All right, the last stitch. All right, so let's back that up a little bit. Well, it does kind of curl a little bit on the corner there, but once you get to the end of the next row, that edge will stop curling as well. So as you can see from these, and see it doesn't curl on the edges except for the last edge that you do. So the next row basically covers up that that curling. So let's take a look at how we're going to count these. So let's go with the harder one. This really isn't that hard because even the linked half double has kind of a little bit of a groove there, so you can kind of see a little bit of a hole. But really, it's so much easier to count than the single crochet or the double crochet. So this is the one row, one row, one row, one row, one row, one row, and one row. So it's really not that difficult to read this one as compared to the single crochet and the double crochet. Same way with this. So you can tell that the 2 vertical bars, that is 1 row. And then this side, you won't see the vertical bars. So that's row number 2, and then you'll see the vertical bars again. So that's 3, and then another row where there's no vertical bars. But if you look at the other side, the vertical bars on the opposite side. So that's how you can count those on that one. And same thing with this. I mean, you can, it's very clear that you got vertical bars here. So 3 rows of, three sets of vertical bars here, and then no vertical bars, and no vertical bars. So each one, that's 1 row, 1 row, 1 row, and 1 row. But look at the difference here. Look at how tall and smooth and perfect for elegant patterns without the usual loose gap. So that's wonderful. But again, if you want it to be lacy, you got to go with the traditional. So you won't be able to do the linked if you want it to be lacy. All right, so now that we've actually worked up all 3 of these linked HDCs, treble and double crochets, let's talk about how they impact gauge. So as you can see, in this one, this is the double treble. There's really not too much height difference, but the traditional is just slightly taller. As you can see, it's slightly taller. Now let's look at the width. I don't really see too much of a difference in the width. Let's look at the other side. There might be just a little extra width on the traditional. It just depends on how crazy and wonky your stitch is. Let's look at this one here. So yeah, the traditional one is just a little slightly larger or slightly taller. Let's look at the width. I would say they're pretty close to the same match. And then let's look at the traditional one with one of the half doubles here. So this one is barely taller, about close to the same width. So you wouldn't have to struggle as much with the half double crochet, but it's always good to do a swatch of the pattern that you're doing and adjust your gauge as accordingly. So you may need to adjust it with the stitch count or maybe use a different hook. That's it. Now you've mastered the linked HDC, the treble, and the double treble crochet. These stitches are perfect for structured blankets, garments, and elegant gap-free patterns. Next time, we're actually going to be putting these stitches into action with a practical project to be determined. I haven't figured out what practical project I'm going to be doing this with just yet, but this is a great way to practice your new link stitch skills while making something stylish and functional. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. And make sure you leave me a comment. I love looking at those comments. I love having some kind of interaction with you guys. It's wonderful. I love it. So until next time, happy crocheting.